Tantor Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents Kundalini and the Chakras, Evolution in This Lifetime, by Genevieve Lewis Paulson. Narrated by Tegan Ashton Cohan. Publisher's note: this audiobook includes bonus material. Please visit Tantor.com and type Kundalini and the Chakras into the search box. Follow the link to the books page. Then, under the supplemental content section, please enter the access code COSMIC and then click the unlock button to access the bonus material. The code should be entered in all lowercase letters. All illustrations and charts referenced in this audiobook can be found in the bonus material. Forward. Kundalini was a totally unknown word to me when I first became aware of its power. It was some time before I realized what had happened. I did have the help of direct guidance through clairaudience from beings who guided me through the various stages. Much of the information in this book came to me originally from these beings. When I became aware of what was going on, I began the frantic search for any books that could give me corroboration concerning the information I was receiving. Such information was very scarce in the 1960s. I was grateful for anything I could find. Other verification came through my work with students. It was not an easy road. The worst of it took 7 years. It was interesting, dramatic sometimes, enlightening other times, but not easy. I came from a traditional church background, even serving as administrator of a 700-plus congregation at one time. Opening up to these new concepts was strange. Later, my understanding of Christianity was strengthened through what I was learning. Kundalini certainly is a basis for religious and belief systems. Kundalini is not exactly a household word yet, but increasing numbers of people are not only aware of it, but living with its experiences. The Kundalini blues are not yet an acceptable reason for staying home from work or not keeping up your end of things. I hope this book will help you not only keep up with your life, but bring optimum evolutionary change into it. Even though I had guidance from the beings and a lot of faith and help from others, the journey was still lonely. So are all spiritual journeys. Get yourself a journal to talk to. It always listens, never interrupts, and remembers what you write. Another reason for keeping a record of your experiences is that you, too, may write a book about Kundalini someday. I hope this book will alleviate some of the concerns, questions, and loneliness you may have. I wouldn't trade the journey I've had and still have for anything. May you find it worth your while as well. Genevieve Lewis Paulson, Melbourne, Arkansas. Chapter 1. Kundalini, the evolutionary energy. Everyone has an inner drive to excel or be special at something, to be unique. Sometimes people reach for this in negative ways. The underlying drive in all people, however, is one of evolution, to reach for enlightenment, to be godlike while still human. In the Upanishads, it is expressed, dwelling in this very body, we have somehow realized Brahman, expansion, evolution, the absolute, creator, preserver, and destroyer of the universe. Otherwise, we should have remained ignorant, and great destruction would have overtaken us. Those who know Brahman become immortal, while others only suffer misery. Book 4, Chapter 4, Verse 14, Swami Nikolananda translation. In the New Testament, Jesus answered, "Is it not written in your own law? I said, you are gods?" Those who are called gods, to whom the word of God was delivered, and Scripture cannot be set aside. John, Chapter 10, verses 34 through 35, the New English Bible. We find that we are all called to go beyond our humanness toward greater heights, The Kundalini energy pushes each of us toward this goal of enlightenment, knowing the light, knowing God. In Tibetan yoga and in other secret doctrines, it is expressed. By means of Shakti yoga, energy discipline, the tantric yogin attains discipline of body and mind, and then proceeds to the mighty task of awakening the dormant or innate powers of divinity within himself, personified as the sleeping goddess Kundalini. Then, from the mystic union of Shakta at the top of the head and the Shakti, is born enlightenment, and the yogin has attained the goal. Kundalini, a Sanskrit word meaning circular power, is an individual's basic evolutionary force. Each of us is born with some of this energy already flowing. The amount available and usable determines whether a person has low intelligence, is a genius, or is somewhere in the middle. It is not just a matter of using what we already have, but of awakening the much greater amount waiting in the Kundalini reservoir located at the base of the spine. Kundalini is a natural force common to all of us. It is not a religion, although it is practiced by some religions, and the process can enhance and develop each person's own religious beliefs. Ancient Eastern literature contains a great deal of information on the Kundalini. This is not true of Western literature, but more is being written. As interest in the Aquarian age grows rapidly and brings stronger energies to facilitate spontaneous Kundalini release, people in all walks of life, all ages, and all levels of growth experience Kundalini, regardless of cultural, philosophical, or religious backgrounds. Little information is available for people who have not even heard of Kundalini and wonder at the causes of their physical, mental, or emotional suffering or breakdown. Even those in the growth and help fields do not have easy access to information for counseling those who release extra Kundalini before their systems are ready and experience problems on all levels of life, as if 220 volts of electrical energy suddenly coursed through their 110-volt units. Fuses blow and circuitry melts. One reason for the lack of information is that many people, though knowledgeable, are concerned about the Kundalini power's potential for harm. They feel nothing should be done with it. No exercises and no training, because of the possibility that this awesome force will turn destructive. This attitude is much the same as that of people who say that if you don't educate children about sex, there won't be any problems. Another reason is that many people regard Kundalini as a New Age fad. Nothing could be further from the truth. Kundalini can be considered the oldest known science. In previous ages, people raised Kundalini under the guidance of teachers and in controlled circumstances, preserving what they learned as an esoteric knowledge. But we have entered a period of time in which the esoteric becomes exoteric. People whose Kundalini was raised without their knowledge, relating symptoms of their condition to others, were generally considered crazy or physically weak. They may even have considered themselves crazy. The process may entail great confusion and fright, beyond the exhilaration and sense of being uplifted. It is evident from their writings that Christian mystics had experiences of released Kundalini, which they referred to as sufferings. They understood the process as one which would bring union with God. Gopi Krishna has been a modern exponent of this evolutionary energy. His own Kundalini release came from meditation practices he undertook without prior formal training. He spent years working with and understanding what was happening to him. His experiences and writings have been very beneficial to others who have not had previous training. Symptoms of early release. Since we are all individuals with our own history, physical conditions, personal and spiritual development, Kundalini release acts differently with each of us. These are some of the symptoms that may indicate an excessive release of Kundalini before the system is ready. unexplained illness, erratic behavior, a feeling of losing it and difficulty coping with everyday life, chills or hot flashes, evidence of multiple personalities, excessive mood swings, depression or ecstasy, times of extreme dullness or brilliance, loss or distortion of memory, disorientation with oneself, others, work, or the world in general. Extremes in appearance. A person may fluctuate between looking years younger one moment and 20 years older a short time later. Visual effects. Seeing lights or colors, geometric shapes, scenes from past lives or future events. Purpose. Kundalini has its own sense of direction. Its natural flow is up the spine and out the top of the head. Along that path, it brings new awareness, new abilities, and transcendental states. Much as a plant reaches toward light, the Kundalini pushes us to reach for enlightenment. It removes any energy blocks in its way, thus causing symptoms such as those listed. It will do its own thing. We can help or hinder the process. A fully developed person will have exceptional paranormal gifts, great spiritual awareness, and truly be considered genius or godlike. Each of us must deal with the Kundalini sooner or later. The more knowledgeable and ready we are, the more wonderful the experience will be. Chapter 2. Involuntary release of Kundalini energy. The Kundalini energy lies coiled at the base of the spine. Its release may be likened to waves, flames, pulsations, or an uncoiling. The uncoiled portion seeks an outlet, normally through the spine up to the top of the head, and out what is sometimes called the crown chakra. Chakra, a Sanskrit word meaning wheel, refers to the various energy vortices on our etheric body. Sometimes the energy coils upward around the spine, again ending at the crown chakra. In the natural evolutionary process, a number of layers or waves are individually released during a lifetime, depending on a person's growth and readiness. The movement of the wave is so imperceptible, most people are not aware of the activity, though they may be aware of some heat, energy movement in the tailbone area prior to the release. More sensitive people will feel the energy progress up the spine. They may feel pressure or pain as the energy encounters a blocked area. Pain may also appear when the energy patterns are not normal. There are many layers of Kundalini waiting to be released. The action is similar to peeling off the outer edges of an onion. A person can release a few or many layers during a lifetime. People knowledgeable about the Kundalini force may choose to release more, thus speeding their evolution. In extreme cases, liquid fire or extreme heat may be released. The Kundalini, sometimes called Shakti, divine spark of life force, begins its ascent from the base of the tailbone, where it is stored. As it rises up the spinal column and goes out the top of the head, it blends with the spiritual energy available in the universe. An energy combination then showers down over the body and travels throughout the system, aiding in refining and cleansing the cells. If the Kundalini is blocked in its upward flow by improper energy patterns or negativity, or by an improperly prepared or cleansed body, it may drop after several days and then begin a slow, painful ascent up the body again, cleaning and refining as it goes. This process can create much havoc and may cause physical, emotional, or mental distress. A person who releases a number of layers of energy at once may be in a beautiful state for days or even weeks. Such a person may have extra physical strength, beautiful new understandings, feelings of bliss or transcendental awareness, or a feeling of really having made it and achieving enlightenment. He or she may even have a little spiritual pride. For most people, however, this state disappears, and the Kundalini begins its cleansing process. Then the person wonders why things are now so difficult and where all the wonderful stuff went. The latter is the usual pattern of Kundalini release. It is not a matter of the person messing up his or her growth. When energy blocks are severe enough, blissful states do not occur. The energy goes immediately into the cleansing. Energy blocks are caused by locked-in attitudes or feelings, or old emotional or mental scars. Poor posture and injuries can also create energy blocks. People who have prepared well by taking care of their bodies and raising spiritual awareness will accomplish Kundalini cleansing more quickly and easily. They realize benefits almost immediately, and the Kundalini rising is a beautiful experience. But if the system is not ready for this powerful force, years may be required to complete the process. Once released, there is no turning back. It is impossible to reverse the process, though it can sometimes be slowed. If a person decides the growth is no longer desirable and tries to hold back this energy, congestion and illness may result, which may, in extreme cases, lead to death. One must learn to work with it, or in some cases just survive it, while the heavy cleansing takes place. The change is usually not a magical, total overnight operation. The energy may take as long as 20 or 25 years to complete cleansing and refinement, sufficient for the psychic or spiritual gifts to unfold. When a person knows how to work with the energy, has a healthy body, mind, and spirit, and is ready, change occurs in a much shorter period of time. People in the midst of an active, natural Kundalini flow, already using it, take less time to make the new Kundalini available for use. In each incarnation, it is necessary to learn over again to control and use the energy. This is one of the main purposes of childhood. Children need behavior and attitude guidance to use their energies appropriately. Permitting their energies to run uncontrolled causes problems in daily living and impedes further growth. Types of involuntary release. Involuntary ways in which Kundalini may be released include drug use, overwork, a severe blow or injury to the tailbone area, grief, trauma, or excessive fear, excesses in meditation, growth practices, or sex. Excessive sexual foreplay without orgasm may also cause spontaneous Kundalini release. By involuntary, I do not necessarily mean unwanted. I only refer to the release of the Kundalini on its own. The energy not only has an evolutionary purpose, it literally gives us extra energy. The body may draw from it, without our conscious knowledge, to handle extreme situations. Often, when such situations conclude, the flow continues, and the person does not handle things well. The person deals now with excessive Kundalini release, as well as with the original trauma. The Aquarian age is very intense. This intensity speeds our evolution and pushes us into a quantum leap of development in all areas. We have been very open to technological change, which has been especially incredible over the past few decades. Now, similar growth is happening in the personal and spiritual areas. We are, in fact, just at the beginning of major breakthroughs in these areas because so much Kundalini will be released spontaneously as a result of the intensity of the new energies. This will happen whether or not people are cleansed and ready. Those people who genetically are more receptive to the Kundalini and already have a fair amount usable and active will not have that much trouble. They will also be more susceptible to release. Astrological energies play an important part in a person's openness to extra release. A heavily aspected Uranus seems to be the cause of excessive release in some people. Saturn, in the 4th house of the astrological chart, may also trigger deep subconscious energies that release Kundalini. Moon in Scorpio also tends to awaken the deep subconscious energies. Some pregnant women experience extra Kundalini release from the pressure of the fetus on the Kundalini area between the anus and the genitals. Or they experience more psychic ability and awareness. Others experience postpartum depression, possibly caused by improper Kundalini flow released during the pregnancy. People who have overworked for many years have nervous, physical, emotional, or mental breakdowns and require several months or years hiatus to recover. Many times this, too, is attributable to excess Kundalini pulled out by the system to handle the overload. These people later relate that their enforced rests were very important to them. They had time to think and change their lives. Kundalini does force us to think and change our very way of being. Tailbone injuries may place permanent pressure upon the Kundalini reservoir, forcing a person to continually work with the energies and the changes they bring. The positive side is that the person has the extra Kundalini to force life evolutionary growth within. Grief, trauma, fear, and hurtful memories all aid in blowing open the subconscious, which in turn releases the energies. The emotional states then usually increase out of proportion to reality, and people are prone to obsession. If the extra Kundalini is not removed from the subconscious, belly area, and balanced with the rest of the body, it continues and compounds the obsessiveness. Methods that alleviate the problem through moving and balancing the energies include meditation, 5 to 10 minutes of free-form dancing, more later, or forcing oneself to think higher thoughts. Kundalini will look for the most open area or chakra to escape through if the body is not ready to receive its energies, blowing open a particular area or chakra and tending to pull all energies toward that spot, as if to a black hole. Only a redirection of energy releases the obsession. Release through recreational drugs can be especially harmful, blowing open chakras or causing the burnout experienced by some drug users. The very reason some people use drugs, for paranormal experiences, may bring about a lack of paranormal ability in everyday life. A positive aspect of drug use is that users may be opened to higher dimensions and shown mystical possibilities in life. Drug use, however, does not enable a person to achieve this state on his or her own. Thus, the energies are not under control, not always very useful, and sometimes exceedingly dangerous. People may have experiences, but not grow in the use of their evolutionary energy. When the excessiveness inclines toward meditation, the release of Kundalini generally goes more smoothly, as these people are already working on themselves and are open to change. Visions, mystical experiences, and excessive attention placed upon the pineal gland may also touch this reservoir of evolutionary energy and start new waves moving through the system. Spiritual initiations from high spiritual levels are given to people who have achieved high spiritual levels in their growth. These initiations usually release at least one more layer of Kundalini. This has nothing to do with the initiations of earthly organizations, which have their own release of Kundalini. Initiations from high spiritual levels quite often occur when a person is asleep, when there is no awareness of the event. The person only recognizes a change in perceptions and attitudes. Consciously aware of the initiation, however, a person will feel energy one could liken to a lightning bolt coming into the top of the head, which may go only as far as the heart area or all the way to the Kundalini reservoir to release some of its power. The advantage of this type of release is that there is generally more understanding of what is happening within the system. The initiation always brings greater awareness, and the person does not feel as alone or crazy when the Kundalini starts doing weird things. Still, if the person is not physically, emotionally, or mentally ready to handle the power, depression, disorientation, illness, or other problems may ensue. Earth initiations may also trigger Kundalini release. When persons have opened to higher levels or deeper levels of earth energy, a connection, initiation, happens. This opens the person to even greater earth awareness. It comes up through the feet in a very powerful manner and goes up through the entire body and out the top of the head. If it is intense enough and the person is predisposed, the Kundalini may be awakened by its power. It is very important that people develop in all areas of life. More and more people in the counseling, religious, and medical fields are becoming acquainted with Kundalini, can recognize its symptoms, and are able to help with its process. It is an area in which all help and health professionals should have a working knowledge. Symptoms of release. Kundalini raising that occurs prior to sufficient cleansing and spiritual awareness is considered premature, producing many different symptoms. In addition to short periods of heightened awareness and states of bliss or enlightenment, there may be times of extreme dullness or depression, erratic behavior, unexplainable illness, loss of or poor memory, feelings of disorientation with oneself, friends, work, or the world in general. If the liver is affected, the skin may take on a yellowish color, an almost dirty look due to the release of negativity, or some areas of the body may take on a reddish or bluish cast. There may be other shadings relating to energy concentrations of different vibrational rates. Each vibrational rate has its own color. A person may look old, tired, or ill, but a few hours later look years younger and full of vitality, or the reverse. Another sign of premature Kundalini raising is a blackish look to the nails of the big toes, due to excessively activated reflexes in the big toes that relate to the pineal gland. At times, there may be a fluttering feeling as the muscles relax and release more energy into the nerve endings. There may be an internal fullness or pressure, a wanting to vomit out anything in order to release the extra energy. There may be nosebleeds. Kundalini in its stronger states can tear human tissue. There may be involuntary movements or shaking of the body. Illness may ensue from Kundalini cleansings, many times remedied simply by changing the energy patterns. A warning, however: see a doctor when changing the patterns does not help. When a problem appears to be medical, do not hesitate to seek medical assistance. Symptoms are different in each individual because each person has blocks or energy concentrations in different areas. It is very difficult to know just how a particular person will react. One may compare the Kundalini, when a large number of waves are released all at once, to a garden hose turned on full force. If the spine is clear and straight, the force flows through to the top of the head unhampered. If blocked, twisted, or bent in some way, the free flow is stopped or hampered, and the energy goes into the nearest area. A very sway-backed person, for example, will dump this energy into the belly and solar plexus area, causing intense emotions. A force that continues over a period of time may result in physical damage, stomach upsets, or even ulcers. Energy locked in the chest may make one think of heart trouble. Blockage in the brain causes loss of memory and/or mental aberrations. Because of the varied symptoms and lack of information about Kundalini, the blame for improper and excessive release is generally misplaced. People may feel hypochondriacal, with all their different aches and pains. At times they may feel ill but not actually be ill. They may feel they do not have long to live, but at the same time feel perfectly all right. Confusion is prevalent when unprepared people experience excessive Kundalini release. One woman, under a doctor's care, found she had symptoms of cancer, diabetes, and heart.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?